Buckle up for another episode of Ghostfacers, a supernatural rewatch podcast. My name is Richard, and sitting shotgun as always is my brother in podcasting, Reed. What's that? What's that noise? No.
It's me, your wife. Not really, though.
I don't have a child, and my wife's, I think, alive in the other room.
What? No. Sorry, what? It's me. I need a host.
I think you're in
Lucifer?
the wrong house.
What? This is 236, right?
No, this is 234.
Oh, son of a bitch.
That's across the street.
I'm sorry. I've been in a cage for like thousands of years.
Oh, that's kind of hot.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing later?
Oh, I think the devil.
Should we get into this?
Let's get into this.
Ghostfacers! We're facing ghosts! We're others, we're not! We're ghosts! Ghostfacers! Stay in the kitchen when the kitchen gets hot! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We're facing nightmare! We're facing dread! Ghosts! Ghostfacers! We're facing faceless! We're facing dead!
Welcome to Ghostfacers. Today we're discussing Season 5, Episode number 1, Sympathy for the Devil. We are joined by the man who needs no introduction because, of course, it is the first episode of Season 5. So we are joined by Kyle Clark.
Let's grip it and rip it. I'm so excited. This is we're deep into the show now.
Hell yeah, baby.
You never forget your fourth episode.
I don't want to set this up too highly, but this is known as like the best season.
Yeah, Season 5 is, I think, generally considered to be the strongest, best season of Supernatural.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to see that recap next episode.
Yeah. Yeah. And when we launch into like a real bummer of a season.
Well, yeah, and this whole process has been a bit like illuminating to what we actually like thought we liked and what we don't like.
That's true.
And like looking under things with a microscope tends to like bring out things that you potentially
We were surprised at the end of Season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least I was, how many problems I had with that season finale. Because normally season finale is kind of a slam dunk.
Yeah, exactly. But the openers are always a hit, baby.
Oh, yeah.
How confused were you going into this, Kyle?
So this was an interesting one because it was, I get the previously on, which ostensibly is just clips, usually from the one other episode I've seen that started last season.
Yeah.
And then like probably the last third of the season finale. Like what I love in my breakdowns is like, I truly have no idea what happens in the middle of any season.
Yeah.
Because every recap is just that. Episode 1, episode 22. And so this one was, I'll grant you, unhelpful compared to others.
Sure.
Because just a lot of characters kind of pop in, but you can kind of put some pieces together. Some parts are clearer than others. The guy from Wayne's World and Ghostbusters 2 being an angel.
Yeah.
Those are my reference points.
What do
Pralines
you,
and Dick.
What do you think happened last season out of curiosity?
Yeah.
I think angels showed up and were like, the devil's coming.
Mm-hmm.
And then apparently Sam fucked it up, but I don't fully understand how. I can't tell if it was for that lady who's then dead now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's it's the show seems like it's getting an interesting dynamic, but I'm getting ahead of myself as far as like the Dean Sam, where we're asked to take a side in a situation that no one really wants to.
It last season was
like you understand what Sam did, but what are you going to do? Be on Dean's side?
I mean, I would.
That's not a viable option.
I always will be on Dean's side.
I'll be Dean's side piece.
There's a specific side of Dean that I want.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I hope you enjoyed being dead and treated poorly before that.
Yes,
with interstitial pieces of mind-blowing sex.
Oh, so you have looked at my Pornhub search history. Last season,
but yes. So he opened up hell. What happened?
Yeah. So from the beginning of last season, we knew that Lucifer was going to come because they were opening up the like latches to his cage.
Yeah, the demons were trying to break all the seals. And the angels were trying to stop it, and it wasn't going well. And Sam had this sort of side quest with the demon Ruby, who used to be played by Katie Cassidy in the previous season. And his side quest was, if I drink enough demon blood and get powerful enough to use my psychic powers, I could just kill Lilith, this head demon that's trying to break Lucifer out. And then the big twist reveals are that A, the angels want the demons to break the seals because they like their odds in the apocalypse war, and B, that killing Lilith doesn't stop it from happening. She's the last seal. Killing her will open the cage and let Lucifer out.
That's right.
So Sam got played, Dean got played, the angels kind of betrayed everyone. Cass is the only angel that kind of has their backs, and Lucifer's out.
That's where we sort of enter.
And so Cass is that the angel that shows up later in the episode, like it kind of goes down with him for a minute.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because he's new. I was like, we're taking on good faith. I know who this is.
He did. He showed up on that last episode.
Yeah, he's the angel that shows up in the last episode you watched.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the really badass entrance, and you were like, this guy seems like he'll be important later.
Yes, okay. He's chilled a bit, it seems, since that initial entrance.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
The budget for when he walks into a scene has shifted. This was the least bombastic season premiere, by the way. Like, this was the first one that felt like they weren't all the other season premieres thus far have been like real, like, action heavy bangers.
Yeah, that's true.
And like this one is much more kind of like a milling about comic book issue.
Totally.
Yeah, it's probably since that second season one, which was sort of Dean in the veil.
Yeah.
Is he or is he not gonna like
but
die?
That has the whole TV concept of like, but dad's in the hospital.
Yeah,
sure,
so it has that soap opera level of like, can Dean get out of his dream to rescue his dad?
Well, before we actually talk about today's episode, why don't we get into some of the details?
Yeah, sure.
So this episode aired September 10th, 2009.
Okay.
So what was I even doing not watching this?
September 2009, I was starting my final year of undergrad.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just graduated. Like, I guess because so it would have been the end of undergrad. Did you graduate in 2009?
I graduated in like spring 2010.
Oh, so I graduated, spring 2009 is when I graduated.
I was just getting into college at that time.
So I was prepping for my last kind of run of shows and stuff like that in theater school.
My educational secondment was just completing, and I was about to head in.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This episode was written surprisingly by Eric Kripke.
Of course.
Not a very Kripke episode, considering what we had just said in the previous episode.
I know this episode almost disproves everything I said.
We talked a lot of shit in the last episode about the creator Eric Kripke's writing abilities, because very much like I quoted you actually, Kyle, which is that much like the TV show he writes for now, he's very like mean spirited in his writing often, and
which is it's interesting to see the whole show's kind of getting darker. Because there's usually the single points of nastiness, whereas this one sort of just has this thing, just like everything's bad.
Yes, exactly. But
what's the show he does now that you're saying that
The
is,
Boys,
like, comparatively? Oh yes, I forgot.
Yes, yeah. So surprisingly less mean spirited than the comic book, but the show is still obviously mean spirited because it's The Boys.
Yeah.
This episode was directed by the one and only Robert Singer.
That's right.
Love Robert Singer.
That goes a long way, because part of my gripes last week was that Kripke directed, and I don't think he's good at it.
No, he's bad at it.
You want to make him sing Singer,
and big jump,
sing.
Big jump from last season. We have viewed by an estimated 3.40 million
Whoa!
Big jump. When I think we had the season finale, the previous season was like 2.87.
Yeah, we haven't seen a 3.4 since like maybe the premiere last season.
Yeah. I mean, the Devil's
Seems
coming.
like a show that's a hard reset every season. Where
100%.
Like, certain people, it's the American Horror Story effect, where everybody starts the season when you see the poster and go, "Oh, is that time?" And then you just see how many episodes before you stop giving a shit.
Yep.
Like that's I imagine how seasons on a show like this work. Is like
right.
Maybe a third of the real core audience you've got for this is making it to 22, but they will come back for one of the next season.
Yeah, it's like an endurance test.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I know Reed and I both watched the promo. Did you get a chance to, Kyle?
For this episode,
Yes.
I did not.
That's okay. But the reality is that it's pretty par for the course. It's boring. It was
The promos are always bad, but you have the even more difficult kind of thing here of like you've also been off for months.
Yeah.
And now you have a boring promo, but it's like you're kicking off your season. It's like, I don't know, guys. That's not great.
yeah.
They should
Like I
just
said, muted comparably.
They should
Yes.
just show the whole road so far montage.
Yeah.
Be like, it's a minute long. Yeah, it's longer than a promo normally is, but it's we paid for Thunderstruck.
Which is weird because pay for sympathy for the devil. Because
We'll get into it.
name the episode
It's got to be a
that,
lot.
and
It's
then
got to
you
be a
didn't
lot
get
more
that
money.
cleared. It can't be that much more than Thunderstruck. Like Thunderstruck definitely cost less, but like gotta be similar ballpark. And really like, or call the episode different song we can actually clear the rights to.
The unfortunate part.
row your boat.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it could be call it Mississippi Queen. Call it Fair Play Long Time.
Right, yeah.
Fucking go a different direction. Call it Do It Again. Throw some Steely
Yeah.
Dan in there. I don't know, but
I can't fight this feeling anymore.
yeah, but like name the song and have the song be in the thing.
Right.
I think that the part of the problem is it's very much like a podcast where they've like painted themselves in the corner with some sort of with like the structure of it. So every season starts with this this road so far, and then I believe it's if it's not always Thunderstruck.
It wasn't, but it has been AC/DC. I think the last couple of times.
Yeah.
It has. No, they've definitely got a friend in the clearance.
So now it's like,
department
yeah,
with the
now
AC/DC organization.
You're right. I think they feel like they're like, well, we've done AC/DC a couple times. We have to do AC/DC. But then they're also like, over here, the writer's like, well, we try to name these episodes after songs. I didn't do AC/DC. Oh, fuck. I forgot it was the season premiere.
Yes. There's definitely this disconnect here.
Call it Hell Awaits. Like throw in a Slayer reference. No one wants to hear that Slayer song. So
Right?
but you got something there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, let's talk about international titles for this episode
Sure.
because, of course, this was named after the song by the Rolling
It was actually called
Stones.
Satisfaction in other countries.
We've got 3 different titles here. Mostly everybody got it, but there was 3 that stood out here. So the first one is the Brazilian title, which is like it's a more of a cute sort of look at the devil.
Oh, it's like, oh, the devil.
Yeah, it's affinity with the devil.
Affinity with the devil.
Yeah.
Sure.
So we'll do the other 2, and then I've got a thing about affinity for the devil adjacent
Okay.
things in a moment.
Okay. But you were like, how could it get cuter than that? Well,
Sure.
it can. The Hungarian title comes swinging.
We little devil.
Yeah, not that cute.
Oh, okay.
It's friendship with the devil.
Oh.
Yeah, we just
Now we're
bred
talking.
twins.
Yeah, that's a kid's book.
But the last one, the German title.
Oh, perhaps now you will let the devil in?
You're not far.
Yeah.
The German title is My Name is Lucifer.
Oh, sure. Of course.
I mean, just a book I'd read. So I very recently came back from doing a bunch of shows in Seattle, and it ended up being kind of a unintentional tour for several days with another act. Shout out to Snacks the Bunny. That is an amazing comedy act where there is a person inside of a rabbit suit and they have microphones that adjust their voice. So you are just watching a fully sentient Easter Bunny character do some crowd work, and it's amazing.
That sounds terrifying.
They are the best. And I did their variety show, and one of the acts on it was a Ziggy Starburst, and what it was is the person they had taken the song Life on Mars and they ran it through Google Translate across like 5 or 10 languages.
Oh my God.
And then had it retranslated back into English, and then did that as a karaoke performance song on the show.
That's
and it was
amazing.
The most incredible thing. And it's funny because I only know some of the lyrics of that song. But my partner Taylor is an insane David Bowie fan. And
I was gonna say, does Taylor know this? Does Taylor know that song?
That's
my
funny.
Ziggy Stardust roller derby girlfriend. And so but it was that very much like affinity for the devil. Like you get these sort of like the word exchange commonality, like root word comes from like another base, like synonym, and so you get these great just like transfers and stuff.
That's incredible.
I love that so much.
Well, of course, the featured music from this episode is "Thunderstruck" by AC/DC.
Of course,
that
it's
is
not
known.
"Sympathy for the Devil."
Yeah, I don't know what you mean. That makes me obvious.
Which makes me think we should call the song "Blunderstruck," right, Reed?
Bazing!
You're both fired. TV Guide describes this episode as the 5th season begins with Lucifer being set free from hell and appearing on Earth, and Sam and Dean.
Oh, they should have played "I Want to Be Free" from Queen.
Oh yeah, I want to break free. Learning that Castiel
Or just sort of boogies out of the hole.
or Out There from the Disney Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yeah. Incredibly specific pull.
That's what he's here for.
What, really? From me?
And we also learned that Castiel was killed by the Archangels.
Yeah, because he was holding them off last episode.
That's right.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about this. But before we do, why don't we open up Dad's journal and learn about some of the real world lore?
Yeah, let's see what the lore says about Lucifer.
Holy shit, this is the one.
Well, here's the thing, and you'll find out why when we
I'm
get
so
into this.
excited to be here for this. Just to get...
This is not the last time we'll talk about the devil in this segment, but
is he going to be back in future seasons?
But I'm specifically talking about Lucifer. And this will make sense when we get
Louis
into it.
Cypher.
Yeah, Louis Cypher, born in 1932.
A code breaker.
Okay, so Lucifer, the name comes from Latin, meaning light bringer. It was actually the Roman name for the planet Venus. They called...
I said the Lightbringer thing in the previous episode.
I don't give a shit.
Which plays into... Are you familiar with a Silent Planet? The dude who did the Witch in the Wardrobe's like sci-fi thing where it deals with like, the Lucifer planet. It's a pretty cool, weird thing. It's like sci-fi Christian weird stuff from the 30s.
Interesting.
I know Phantom Planet. That's a cool indie band.
I know the planet with the evil tar pit from Star Trek. And fun fact, the Greek name for the planet Venus was Phosphorus. So again, always this idea of being like the light, the morning, it's the morning star, right? Mm-hmm. It's the, extremely bright in the sky.
It.
Exactly. So this Roman version, he was depicted as a man holding a torch. He was meant to be like the son of Aurora, like the god of the dawn. But there are very few, if any, myths about like Lucifer as a being in this context. So the transition to Lucifer being part of Christian myth has this intermediary step, possibly in the Canaanite religion, in which the morning star, Venus, was the god Atar, who attempted to overthrow Baal, but was unable and banished to the underworld. But there's some dispute over this, and some scholars claim that the Canaanite myth doesn't actually describe that happening, but that the fall of Adam and Eve is more of a template for like the fall from grace that then gets ascribed to these other things. In the book of Isaiah, the original Hebrew makes reference to the morning star. The Vulgate Latin translation, of course, is Lucifer, and that's sort of the first biblical convergence of these ideas. Fun fact, modern English translations have replaced Lucifer with morning star again. Like, it's not one of those things where they translated to Lucifer and then it stayed that way. In English translations, these passages go back to saying morning star. The passage itself is describing the fall of a morning star who dared rise above the heavens, but it's clearly metaphorical. The passage itself says, how you have fallen, heaven, morning star, son of the dawn. You've been cast down to earth, you who once laid low the nations. You said in your heart, I will ascend to the heavens. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly on the utmost heights of Mount Zaphon. It's very clearly meant to be a metaphor, but it kind of morphed into being, they took that Lucifer word and made it into the original name of Satan or the devil. Yeah. Because Satan is referenced in other parts of the Bible. But they were like, well, Lucifer is morning star. This metaphor, we're going to make it literal, that it's about a fall from grace and about attempting to overthrow the heavens.
So
and they kind of blended
blended
these ideas together.
Satan, Lucifer, choose one name. It's cleaner.
Yeah. Yeah, lose the.
Yeah.
The devil, just devil.
Yeah.
Oh, in the first
It's
century,
like going from The Rock to Dwayne Johnson. Like you got to kind of set up one and then get the other out there.
yeah, yeah, that's right.
Also, everything you've just said, I only have a reference point for because of Sandman comics.
Hell
right?
yeah.
Like that's literally everything you have said. I am just nodding and thinking, like, yes, this is all Seasons of the Mist stuff.
I had a similar experience earlier today where I was talking about real life animals with my daughter. We were talking about like bison and muskox and stuff like that. And then I caught myself, but I was going to, she couldn't remember what a muskox was. And I was trying to describe it. And I almost said, it's like a bantha. And then I realized I was trying to like describe real world things with fake things. And I was like, that's how I learn everything.
But it's also probably very confusing for a child learning about
Yeah,
the world.
you know a bantha? She, like that would help her.
Like, all right, so there was a movie
Well,
called
but
Star
also
Wars.
then she's just like, so Bantha also real. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then when you find out Bantha not real, why would muskox be real?
Yeah.
100%.
Remember that scene where Jabba said muskox poodoo? So, in the first century, it's believed that Lucifer was adopted as a name for a fallen angel based on a translation to Vulgate Latin from Hebrew, from the Hebrew word for the morning star, which is Hallel, which means to lament. So on one hand, we have Latin where Lucifer is the translation of morning star, and it's just direct, like that's about the morning star. It's light bringer. In Latin, it means light bringer. And then in Hebrew, the idea that it means to lament. So now you have these two ideas come together, and we start piecing all of these different pieces of the Bible together under this like umbrella. So Lucifer became the embodiment of pride, false idolatry, etc. in Christian lore, and retroactively, Lucifer became the name of Satan himself. Although there's a very interesting departure. In early medieval era Christianity, Lucifer and Satan were distinct beings. It was the idea was that Lucifer was in hell. Lucifer was the evil.
Yeah.
But Satan was like his vassal on earth.
Oh.
So Lucifer was stuck in hell. That was his punishment or whatever. But Satan would like enact his will on earth. So you had to be more actively prepared for, spiritual assaults from Satan. But the idea was that it was all going back to Lucifer. So that's why I've actually split this up this way. I'm only talking about Lucifer today.
Wow.
Later in the season, we'll get into stuff about Satan, the devil, stuff like that. But
Very cool.
yeah,
Lucifer.
there you go, baby.
Well, with that, why don't we talk about today's episode finally?
What do you mean finally? This was the best part. People are shutting off their podcast apps now.
And I'm really having to resist going on a real Paradise Lost tangent here. Because, like, well, it's just funny when you think about the fact that, like, you hear that story and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. That's the sexiest story in the Bible is just like disgrace thing. You got an anti-hero there. Like you throw in enough of the lore that it's like, yes, it's like pride, but also like knowledge and temptation. You're just like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why are we really bagging on the best guy here?
Well, I mean, obviously Christianity and religion in general, very kind of prominent things that affect literature. But there's also a reason that we come back a lot to the Fall from Grace story, and it's because it's fucking sexy.
And again, because like John Milton, hears that thing, goes like, wait, I think there might be a sexy angle to this. And I just love that, like, it took X number, hundreds of years for somebody to kind of clock. He's like, wait a minute, let me take a crack at this. And the church should go like, oh no. You can't be writing that down. When you read this, you're sort of like, wait a minute, is that other thing weird? And they're just like, we can't be having that. And it's just so I kind of love you watch this beautiful tangent once you start sort of like breaking this stuff down, because it's one of the most inherently interesting narratives to play with.
Well, and you get a whole spectrum of it too. You get these very like almost one-to-one kind of things where you're still talking cosmically or whatever. So like Lord of the Rings, that's Morgoth, right? He's one of the angel beings, and he falls and he becomes the first Dark Lord. And then you have all the way down the line these different versions of the betrayal or like the person who's the most powerful, and you go all the way down, and then you're like, it's Sinestro in the Green Lanterns, or you're like,
but it's also the Crow, baby.
It's
like,
the Crow.
That's the thing.
It's training.
Sinestro's
it's training
when
day.
a real square tries to set up that narrative where he's like, he's real smart, he must be killed.
But it's also like,
but I love when you flip the counterculture of it. It's just like there's it's the Crow, it's Robin Hood, it's all these like anything that's fighting the man has a little bit of devil in it.
It's also training day. Like it's just the fundamental idea of like someone who should be the person that you're following because they're the most powerful, most knowledgeable. God,
I
whatever.
love the angle we both have on this, where yours keeps going like, and remember, they will lead you astray, and mine's like, yeah, into the cool place.
I'm not cool enough for that. I don't know.
Like you stop, like, hey, and it might get weird there. I'm like, and it's gonna get weird there. Like,
that is the most.
We are the angel and devil on Richard's shoulders.
I now so better understand my relationship with the both of you because of this.
I do too. This was we just hit a real unlock box here. Like, because I was like, it's interesting, and like clocking it, I was like, oh shit, this is the difference. We are arguing from different points in this debate.
This has been the purest distillation of how the two of you disagree about things.
It turns out it's literally just good and evil.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
I love it.
Who'd have thought I'd be on the good side of that?
Right? This has got to be blowing everybody's mind. It's the one you least expect both ways.
All right. Well, we start this episode with the road so far.
Richard, a godless man who makes no choices in either direction.
I just go where the road takes me, baby.
The road so far.
Just chaos.
Yeah, I mean, a bit, yeah.
Yes. If you were waiting for me to argue, I won't.
Yeah, no, you are the Lord of Chaos. We all.
Mm-hmm. I just make the world work for me.
It's not a vote, it's a memo.
It's just a roll of the dice. All right, so we begin with the road so far. Then we look back at the previous season, everything that had happened.
Yeah.
Sam drinking demon blood.
Oh yeah,
drinking demon blood.
The whole season, everyone is telling him that he is wrong, and he doesn't believe them. Like,
and he's like, "I bet I'll prove you wrong."
Like a shitty alcohol subplot kind of thing is supposed to be that.
They do a whole detox. They do a detox episode.
He's addicted to vampire blood. I love this.
Yeah, they do an intervention / detox episode.
Yeah,
yes, it's hilarious. But that is the then. Now we start with literally second after the previous season ended.
Yeah, I mean we're actually in one of the last scenes of the previous season. So
that's right.
The gate is opening. Lucifer's
like there's
a sky beam. Lucifer is coming through.
High pitched noise.
Supernatural did it first, Marvel.
That's right.
Thank you.
Eat shit, Avengers.
And your hacky ass sky beam.
And it seems like, well, it's all going to end. They're going to die.
They can't even get out of the room. The door's closed. This light is blinding.
They're on their knees.
There's the screaming sound, like the angel voice that we know, like humans can't actually perceive and stuff like that. And then somehow they end up on a plane.
That's right.
And then on this plane, they see the sky beam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they're flying over St. Mary's Convent. They're literally a plane directly overhead of where they just were.
Yeah, because the pilot comes on and goes like, "We're flying over Ilchester." But whoa!
Yes. Also, what pilot sees a thing and immediately just goes, takes the whole plane to the left?
Well, here's the crazy bit about this. So Sam and Dean are in this room. Then they're inexplicably on that plane. The light, they see the sky beam. The pilot swerves the plane,
which I don't know if planes even work.
All of the like masks come out. Dean and Sam, very cool-headed, put their masks on. And then the next shot we get is them in the car. We don't see like that the plane crashed or landed. We don't see like people being helped out or like emergency services. We just cut like later.
You don't
and
need
they're
that
like,
shit.
Man, that crazy plane.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very interesting.
Well, I just assumed they got like beamed out of the plane.
No.
And the demons were just like, "Hey man, we just wanted you to feel bad because you also made a plane crash."
See, and this is the reason I bring it up, because that's two jarring changes of setting, very back to back. But one of them is jarring. One of them is jarring in universe, and the other one is we just didn't watch the interim steps.
Yes,
but there's no real distinct thing between them, like as far as storytelling goes.
I think it's
like
just
they're
their
both
reactions.
just like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah, the reactions when they get to the plane is very confused.
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is you just showed us that happen once, and then the next scene they're just in the car, and they barely like even mention. They don't say like, wow, I can't believe the plane, like we actually landed the plane. Like there's no reference to, did it crash and they survived? Did they land? Like there's
that's why I think they got blooped out.
Yeah, I don't think they did, because they clearly are in a rental car.
Yeah, I don't think they got blooped out either, but it's clearly a confusing way to show this sequence of events.
Then that is the most wildly irresponsible thing in the history of the show.
It's making a lot of assumptions for sure. But I want to jump back to when they first arrive in the plane, because they find themselves watching a Looney Tunes episode that features the character Yosemite Sam. In the animated short, Yosemite Sam was being taken to hell by the devil, foreshadowing Sam Winchester finally sort of like dealing with his like issues with the devil and stuff in this later season. So I love the sort of like sneak peek into the future, but also like addressing what's going on right now.
Sam also grows that comically large mustache this season.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah, obviously. I say.
That's Foghorn Leghorn.
Is it? Oh, whatever. It's all racist Southern characters.
Carnation.
Yeah, sure. There we go. So they are now in a rental car driving, and the radio is expressing like a worldwide crisis, basically.
Yeah, there's like a hurricane, there are tornadoes, there's swine flu, there's like a bunch of like and this is like
to see swine flu in there.
Yeah.
Oh man, remember
when that was the craziest thing that could happen from like a pandemic standpoint?
Like the sort of like Terminator to bird flu's Terminator 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also had like a liquid form. It was weird. But the radio announcer does say, and Governor O'Malley urged calm. Martin O'Malley was the governor of Maryland at the time.
Oh, okay.
Kind of cool.
So that's an actual like real world thing.
And when Dean switches off the radio in the rental car, the clock shows 11:58 p.m., 2 minutes to midnight. This could refer
like a
to
doomsday clock reference.
Well, exactly.
Kind of
this could either refer to the Iron Maiden song of the same name or the subject of the song, which is the doomsday clock itself. This clock is used by the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists to symbolically depict how close the planet is to global catastrophe. 2 minutes until midnight is the closest it has ever gotten.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Or I think it got to 1 minute to midnight in Watchmen.
Well, sure. Yes.
Which is also real, right?
Well, again, you really need to figure out this. Like,
I don't know, man.
You're starting to. This disassociation is getting confusing.
Perceiving alternate realities.
Your daughter's gonna grow up like not knowing true history. She's like, well, yeah, remember when like the giant squid monster like showed up in New York?
She'll be in school and they'll be like, and when did America enter the war? And they'll be like, well, it was when the All-Star Squadron had to get the the Spear of Destiny back from Hitler, but he was using it to control Captain Marvel.
She's going to be in school asking if the teacher means before or after crisis.
Yeah. Is this
pre-crisis history?
Yeah. Is this? Yeah. She's saying BC. Yeah.
BC. Star dates for the date.
Holy shit.
God, even I don't know how those work.
Really?
I mean, I kind of do.
Yeah.
But
come on.
They're not. Yeah.
You know.
Never mind.
It's one of them systems that sure feels like maybe it's pure make some upsies.
No, I think it actually does work.
I mean, it makes some upsies, but there's some ways to distinguish it.
For sure.
It always starts with a 4, well, for a bit at least. And then the second number is what season of TNG it is.
Oh, is it?
So then when you get into DS9 and Voyager, they go past, like, it starts like in TNG, it's like 41699.2. And that's a season 1. Right. And then in season 7, it's 47, blah, 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 point, whatever. But then in DS9 and Voyager that go beyond that, you get into like 49 something or like 51.
Stardate like 420XXX.
Nice.
420, 69, 69.
Yeah. Riker took the day off for some reason.
Start 8005113S.
Nice. Beverly, could you come meet me in the ready room?
I just like whoever's saying nice. Is it whether in my mind that's Riker, not Picard congratulating himself? Like he says it, and then Riker's like, "Hey, nice."
So
they're throwing dice in the ready room for some reason.
Yeah, I think it's Worf. Just go nice.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
A warrior appreciates boobies.
So
Movies would distract from a warrior's focus, which is
look at the prunes on that one.
Jesus Christ.
So they landed safely, although unsure
Sure.
how they were saved. They
Somehow.
then travel to Cryptes.
Why is the Roddenberry estate suing a supernatural podcast?
The boys head to Chuck's house.
Yeah.
Or what is the remains of Chuck's house after.
So this is a bit that we didn't fill Kyle
God,
in on.
and this
so,
is some Kyle ass shit.
so Chuck.
Is this the writer guy?
Yes.
So the writer, we learned
My
last
fucking
season.
jam.
Yeah.
This guy was actually writing Supernatural. He's written all these books that are on every episode, and we learn he's a prophet of the Lord.
Well, not seeing any of this subplot thus far, this is my favorite part of the show by a pretty wide margin.
As it should
yeah.
be.
So he becomes part of the fabric of the show, but basically he knows what's going to happen slightly in advance, and he's been writing their real lives. So he's a prophet of the Lord, and a meta kind of fictional thing where he's the writer.
And if you're thinking, oh, well, they've scratched the surface, they'll never go any deeper into that concept, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Now, I got to ask a question. I'm getting ahead of it. Does she come back? Because if not,
Yes.
this whole show
No,
fucked up.
she
So-
comes
okay.
back a lot.
It's wild how 5 seasons in, and I'm like, oh, cool. I just hadn't met my favorite character yet.
Yes, Becky.
Because there is
Oh,
no
yeah.
way any character will be more my favorite character than her.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
She
But
says stuff I wish they were saying in the show, and she's brave enough to say it.
thank you. They are looking around his house trying to figure out what happened. That's when Chuck suddenly shows up and hits Sam with a plunger.
Yeah, and that's when we learn that the Archangel killed Castiel. We learn it partly because Chuck pulls a molar out of his hair, like Cass got exploded.
Yeah.
Trying to defend or stop the Archangel from stopping them taking
Here's a
Chuck.
thing that we haven't talked about yet, which is so Kyle, one of the things that they talk about in the previous season is that whenever an angel takes a human form, they have to get permission. And then we talk about that in this episode a little bit. But you have to get permission to take over that body. And so we find there's a whole episode dedicated to the guy that Castiel's takes over his body in the previous season. So you've learned all about this guy and why he sort of submitted to him. And
Jimmy Novak.
Yeah, Jimmy Novak.
Yeah.
Jimmy's dead, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They talk about it later.
Yeah.
Like we do get in Supernatural a
Yes.
sort of canon.
Yeah.
Like what happens when this
so
happens.
it's a body swap kind of situation.
Well, what's happened here, it's not explained yet. It is eventually explained, but Jimmy is gone.
Yeah.
And later, when Cass comes back in this episode, it's a mystery to him.
Yeah. What
Well,
happened?
he kind of implies, but it's a mystery to him how he came back from the dead. And it's all tied to how Sam and Dean survived Lucifer escaping the cage. too.
Totally. So Chuck senses the angel suddenly, and Zachariah and a contingent of angels arrive.
Yeah. Zachariah, Kurt Fuller, amazing.
Fucking incredible. Love Kurt Fuller so much.
Yeah.
Zachariah says it's apocalypse now, which is obviously referring to the 1979 war film directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Dean, of course.
I missed that.
Dean also tells Zachariah to, as Kyle, you texted me directly about this, cram it with walnuts ugly.
Walnuts. Man, that's Dean, just a character who is just constantly trying his darndest to be what he wants to be. And then he says, cram it with walnuts. A thing I learned because Homer Simpson says that.
Thank you very much. Yes.
It's such a great phrase. Like just because cram it with walnuts. Are you threatening a grandma?
Do you remember what episode it's from in The Simpsons?
I don't. I've been trying to place it in my head. But he's
It's-
like, but you can cram it with walnuts, buddy.
It's the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie show.
Oh.
Yeah, Homer says it to Roger Myers Jr.
Well, if you think about it, one person is talking to the devil and one person is talking to a television executive.
What's the difference?
That's
so,
Take that, Hollywood, a place where I work.
Why is Hollywood suing a supernatural podcast?
And the Gene Roddenberry estate, just to be sure.
Yeah, Bill Hader, the president of Hollywood,
that's
is
right.
suing us. Zachariah,
give him that sack.
Zachariah tells Dean that the time for games is done, and as he is needed to battle Lucifer, who is seeking a vessel to possess.
That's right.
Sam is shocked Lucifer needs a vessel, and Zachariah explains that as an angel that this is required.
Yeah.
If you like, and that's sort of like reaffirming this whole thing where it's like, hey, Lucifer is an angel. Like, he's not like this guy with a pitchfork. Like,
there's an interesting shift in Zachariah from last season. Last season, the seals haven't been broken. Lucifer's not out yet. And Zachariah is all bluster. He's like, you're going to do whatever the fuck we want. And this is going to happen and blah, blah, blah. He's still got some of that this season. But he says, like, you have no idea how powerful Lucifer is. And he's fucking out. So you better do the thing that we know you don't want to do. But I said you had to. Please do it. There's like a certain desperation to Zachariah this time, because it's one thing to be like, yeah, we like our odds. We're going to beat Lucifer in this war. We'll let the seals get broken. But now he's like, fuck, they're broken. We gotta fucking move.
Yeah, like it's true. Dean's angry and will not help the angels as they are responsible for jumpstarting the apocalypse. But Zachariah defends that statement since Sam is fully responsible and tells Dean that he had the chance to stop him but failed.
Yeah, he kind of has this like, let's just say it's all our faults. Forgive and forget. Let's move on.
I also like the moment right before Zachariah shows up and Chuck's like, yeah, your eyes turned black, and Dean's like, your eyes turned black, and Sam's like, yeah. He tells Dean that they are on the same side since they have the common enemy in Lucifer.
Yeah.
And Dean needs the angels to help him defeat him.
Yeah.
Dean still refuses, and Zachariah starts to warn him about this rebellion that's happening until he notices that Dean's hand is bleeding.
Yeah, he's like, Dean, you're bleeding. And Dean pulls a little, yeah, well, you know, I figured you might stop by. And he pulls the sliding door open. He's done the angel banishing sigil that Cass did last season.
Yeah, we learned this from Castiel last season, Kyle, where there is like, sigils that you can use to just get the fucking rid of angels.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Dean
look,
prepped
you know
it.
I'm pro sigil, so
I figured you would
thrilled
be.
to hear they have so many uses.
Yeah. So he banishes the angels, and he says, learn that from my buddy Cass, you son of a bitch. It's a great Dean line.
Again, Dean just going like, but how can I sound like a dad in an action movie?
Yeah.
What? Doesn't it that you did text
Cram
me
it with walnuts, ugly.
You did text me at one point and said that Dean sounds like a past guest, Ron Swallow. Yeah.
Like when Dean and Ron are both like incredulous, like I dare you to tell me which one is talking. It's I've been trying to place it for 4 episodes now, and I finally last night was like, holy shit, Dean talks like Ron Swallow.
That's really funny.
I'm like, you're not wrong. I do hear it.
That's very funny.
And it's so I'm like, is that the New Mexico accent?
Oh, interesting.
The New Mexico accent is to put "you son of a bitch" at the end of every sentence.
And it's the rhythm they both have.
It's their y'all.
Yeah, you son of a bitch is their y'all. Well, the you son of a bitch thing, like with cram it with walnuts, is why it feels like a dad fantasizing about like an action thing. Just those are his versions of like one-liners.
Ron Swallow is also very big dad vibes, so that makes a lot of sense.
I view this as the biggest compliment we could be giving Ron Swallow.
100%.
Is that he's 100% a Dean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And has the voice of a sexual dynamo.
1,000%.
You son of a bitch.
How cultured. At a motel room, Sam arrives with some hex bags to hide them from the angels.
Yeah, and Dean's like, hey, that's great. Where'd you learn that? And Sam goes, from Ruby.
He couldn't have been like books.
I think
Like-
this is the most sheepish I've ever seen Sam, and it doesn't work for me. It's kind of
Really? I was like, this is really well performed.
let me clarify. I think Jared is doing a great job in this
Yeah.
scene, and I think he's acting really well. I like his performance.
Yeah.
What I think is funny is that Sam is being so like, I'm sorry.
Like a dog
Yeah,
fucking that's been like beat.
I learned it from Ruby.
I'm sorry I caused the apocalypse.
Yeah. It's like there's something funny. I do think Jared's doing a great job.
He
And
is.
I love the idea that Sam is just like, holy shit, like I caused the end of the world. Like that's a lot for him
It's
to
the
process.
worst possible thing you could do.
It's an insane thing to process.
Sidebar, why did he cause the end of the world? I'm still unclear on that.
Because he thought if he killed this other demon Lilith, it would stop them from opening the seals.
Because she was opening all of these seals to Lucifer's
and then
cage.
Lucifer couldn't get out of his cage.
That feels
But
like an honest mistake, though.
But the trick was that she was the seal and killing her opens the cage. However, Sam fell for it because he took the advice of a demon over his family, and he was drinking demon blood, and it was making him evil.
And the angels and every person and the like prophet of the Lord were saying, you know, this is bad, right?
And everyone that said it, and he still went against it. And he and Dean had a big fight, and Dean was like, "If you walk out that door, don't you ever come back." And
Now is this
Sam walked out
Ruby
on him.
who he walked out with?
Yes.
Yeah.
The girlfriend that got him addicted to demon blood or
Yeah.
something?
yes, yeah,
Look, we've all
Okay.
been there.
yeah.
We've all had a
Popped
Ruby.
up, just horny and full of demon blood. We have all been there except Reed.
Yeah.
I imagine Reed
I
was
would-
at the party where they offered demon blood, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, no, thank you.
No, I'll just be in the corner
I'll
drinking.
have a
this.
Zima."
I'll have this angel come.
I was gonna say, I was like, I'm pretty sure you were having angel
No.
dandruff.
No,
I went with Zima.
yeah.
What?
You're being a little too
Which people, what
fast and loose with the shit you know about me.
What do you mean? I
what
was
people
just making a
don't
joke.
know is that Zima is actually 7-Up and Angel cum.
Wow.
It makes a lot of sense.
Fun
I
fact.
learned that from one of those like make your own versions of commercial products books.
Just get some angel cum.
I've got homemade Zima and a homemade
Yeah.
Twix bars.
Yeah. They call it grace.
I'm gonna swallow some grace later on.
Jesus.
So
Lord.
Sam even says he's
How
actually
is this show so popular?
I will say I was
It's got to be the most popular cum-based podcast in all of Canada.
sorry, you mean our show. Yeah, good question. No idea. I was watching this episode last night though, and my wife came in and was like, "Ugh, supernatural," and then sat down and watched 40 minutes.
Thank you.
That's literally how the show existed for 15 years, though. Like what you're describing is the 2-point-something million people who watched this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called Castle.
They got caught in its gravity well and
Yeah,
couldn't get out.
it's there's just some shows that can exist on sheer momentum for decades. It's
Yes.
the dream.
That's
yes.
That's how you
Uh,
make Hargitay money.
Surprisingly, Sam actually says he's not feeling any of the effects from the demon blood any longer. Like it seems that when they were transported, he was like rebooted.
Yeah, yeah.
He's
What a
not-
convenient thing for a season premiere to have happen.
I mean, look, this show does that stuff and also recognizes they do that stuff and acknowledges it, which is good.
Yeah, I think the reason they get away with it is that you at some point in the season
They'll explain it.
they'll always go, and we know it was this.
This is why, and we get it.
Yeah.
He tries to talk to Dean about what has
Are there
happened.
episodes where they just apologize with their shirts off, like towards the end of
Yes.
the season? So it's like they sort of build some goodwill back.
Yes, they also acknowledge their bad episodes. There was an entire episode in last season where they literally go, "God, that."
Well,
ooh."
but it's when they meet Chuck, the
Yes.
prophet, and he goes like, "Oh man, some of these are I'm not even a good writer. Bugs, that was a horrible one."
Yes, like he
They just,
literally acknowledged their own
call
failures.
out, they call it specific episodes of the show.
It's incredible. Like episodes that are known to be bad, they're like, "Oh yeah, that was some poor writing on the prophet's part."
Yeah.
So good. Oh,
That's
God, I love this show.
amazing. It's man. You wish one time Mulder turned to Scully and just like shit on one season 1 episode.
So good. But Sam tries to talk to Dean about what has happened about freeing Lucifer,
Yeah.
and Dean is just like, "Fucking no, we're not doing this."
Yeah.
Like, how do you even talk about this? Dean suggested, like, look, we can't talk about this right now. We need to treat this like any other hunt. We need to find Lucifer.
Well, this is a funny moment too, because Dean is sort of guiding.
Yes.
As opposed to Sam being like, we should figure this out. Dean is like, he's like almost like he has to get like Sam back. Sam's like going down the well of guilt, and he has to be like, how do we start a hunt?
Yes.
And Sam goes, we find out where the thing is. And then he's like,
yeah, buddy.
and he's like, find Lucifer? Yeah. It's like, yes, Sam. And he's like, all right.
We then see a brief scene of a man named Nick coming home.
Yeah. So
holy shit, this part of the episode.
We'll touch on, I don't want to do it today. We'll touch on, like, this actor is like deeply problematic.
100%.
We'll touch on that another time.
I can't acknowledge it. I need to just appreciate him for how good he is in this show.
We'll get there, but for today, we'll just ignore it. But just, if you're listening, like, we know.
We know. We know Mark Pellegrino is not a good guy.
We know.
But this guy comes home to like a very spooky house.
Yeah, because it's just like
creaking things.
Empty and cold. And,
he seems to be having a nightmare or possibly hallucinations. One of his hallucinations is that his bed is full of blood. He wakes up and covered in blood.
Yeah, like Godfather style. But then he gets up and then there's no blood in the bed, and he's like, oh.
Then suddenly he turns over and his dead wife is
Tim Allen noises.
Yeah. Remember the scene in the Santa Claus where he bleeds to death in bed?
I mean, yes.
It's not that different.
Yeah. He bleeds to death out front.
Yeah.
But he's lying in bed and suddenly he turns around and his dead wife is there whispering to him that he's special.
Yeah.
And then she disappears.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But that's where this scene ends and we go to our favorite new character.
That's right.
Becky Rosen.
We meet Becky. Becky, who is in the middle of writing.
Becky with the good everything.
Yes. She is an obvious fan of the supernatural books written by Chuck Shirley.
She's writing her own Wincest fan fiction.
The fucking audacity of this television show, because I was aware of this whole aspect as a fandom thing and we are 1/3 into the life of this series, and they have the meta character doing the fucking riskiest joke about the show because it's so prevalent online that they have to acknowledge it and create this, just the audacity of going like, well, you know what we'll do is we'll just have a character that is writing the Wincest porn for this show and make her a character who then can periodically harass the boys. Like, whoever pitched that, give them the tallest trophy you can find, like, just because like that, like getting that idea through, just to pitch that in the room. And I just imagine the silence that goes for a minute as everybody goes like, are we willing to break the show potentially for
Kyle,
a pretty funny joke?
The places where you would want this character to go, they do. You're gonna love this character.
Had I known this character existed, I truly would have started watching the show. Because if the show is so much like, I don't want to say not earnest, but more just like, it is so much more self-aware than I would have thought a show on the WB could be. The DNA for Riverdale is so much more in this show than I ever could have expected. That like, are there, to the point where I'm just like, are there other like WB shows that are also secretly totally unhinged?
No,
like, it feels like there's like three categories.
Legends?
There's like DC superhero shows.
Yeah,
there is like kind of oddball romance shows, and then like unhinged insanity is like just a third viable version of a Warner Brother, like a CW show. And like legends sort of go bounces teeters
on the two
on.
sides.
But like how much like just like gay incest is in Legends of Tomorrow?
Not enough.
Because if the answer is zero, like then get it out and then throw it away. Because the bar has been set at not none.
Yeah.
And so if you are not it, at least not none. And you know what Riverdale said was, "Oh fuck that! Let's get my motorcycle and jump this."
Yeah. I mean, even what she's writing is like the hardest thing to do. They say, in this colloquial thing, the hardest thing to do as an actor is to pretend to be drunk, because when you're drunk, what you're actually doing is pretending to be sober. So as an actor, you have to play two levels of a thing, right? And the hardest thing I would imagine to do as a writer is to deliberately write poorly.
Oh, did we lose you, Kyle, or are you still there? Oh, there you are.
There he is.
My thing started to robot and slow down, so I killed my screen to try to like ease the bandwidth.
But I have to imagine the hardest thing to do as a writer is to deliberately write poorly, and the fanfic she is writing is so bad.
Yes, it's what you would assume.
He touches the clavicle, like that kind of shit. Like it's like so clinical. It's really bad.
I love it, like, because I don't know how much time you guys spent in the deep dark world of fan fiction. I'm asking this rhetorically because I do know.
I try not to,
but it's funny because I lived in that world when I was like a freshman in high school a little bit, both regular and unleaded fan fiction, but and so it is become a fascination because I've talked to a lot of like friends, and it's funny to me because like as things like Dungeons and Dragons have become normalized, there are subsets of like the fandom world that do not get normalized, and I'm lightly unsettled at times because I find that many of the nerddoms that I had wandered into as a young person are ones that are still not quite there out in the light. And and so it's interesting when you hear this kind of stuff, because it is wild to me that seeing how overall like fan fiction is still not really a normalized thing that larger culture understands. The fact that this show is not only doing it, but doing a pretty sophisticated riff on it is, I love any time a show is speaking to a subset of fandom that's like, this is for all you Xena heads out there. Like we're going deep. We are at the back tables at this convention, and we are having the time of our goddamn lives.
It's a thing that this show sort of picks up on, and like towards the end of season 3, and then really sort of like understands at season 4, and then this is the season where they go, okay, look, we are dedicating the rest of this show to its fans, and this is the season where it really goes, we get you. You are a part of this. You are going to craft the narrative moving forward, and like we're on this journey together. And it's like a show I've never really seen. Like you're there. I mean, I remember when Lost came on, and they sort of had a conversation with the audience, but they felt like a bit like in a battle with the audience, I think.
Well, it's not even a battle to me. It feels the power dynamic is different. Lost is still teasing you, but it's adding. Because I was a hardcore Lost fan.
Oh yeah.
It adds. Reed, are you aware that we had a cake, a plane crash themed cake for the last episode of Lost with the numbers on it? Like we had like a pool of like things that might get answered or like resolved and you randomly pulled them from a bowl, and you won prizes if those things happened.
Wow.
Yeah, Kyle and his mom go hard.
Like we went fucking crazy hard on Lost. It was a whole thing.
That's
and
funny.
So it is a similar game, and it's interesting because these are happening around the same time. It is the first time television and the internet are having conversations, and it is kind of like the version of what is happening now, where there are not constant protests and threats from fandom constantly, and instead it's sort of a pleasant exchange between people who enjoy a show and the people who make said show and appreciate you watching. And the magnum jump from this show to go from beyond just the like we're throwing extra Easter eggs if you want to go down some rabbit holes and find some websites, and instead this time it's just like, what if we just talk about the websites on the show?
They do, and they make websites because of the show, and they've created like a bunch of extra web content, which has become now a bit.
You get how this show created Tumblr. Like this show was designed with for Tumblr to be installed into it.
100%, and I think that it's a thing that I always talk about about with like actually with clients and stuff when we talk about using social media for businesses, which is like, look, it's happening about you without you. So the best thing that you can do is engage with it. And businesses a lot of time will say, yeah, but they're going to be mean to me. And I'm like, yeah, but you responding to them being mean to you is going to make them bigger fans, or at least the ones who are fans, stronger and more loyal fans. And you can see that with the show. It's the only reason this show exists.
Yes, it's also interesting because again, it's figuring out a thing that I think media is still not entirely understanding, is that like the way that communicating the public is different, and there is a lack of control to it at this point that inherently exists and cannot be undone. And it's so funny that you see, you know, whether their intentions are good, evil, or in between or whatever, like that some companies, the same way like some celebrities like really get. And not just the version of doing it where it's like building lifestyle porn. That's an entirely different conversation. But the one that is the self-aware. And when you get it, it becomes such a weird, endearing thing that like brands and products that super get that have a different kind of audience and an audience loyalty, you know, and it's just wild. The show's set in so much of that template in 2009.
I know it's a good reminder to go like, oh yeah, this was in 2009.
Yeah,
like there's most TV shows still don't really get it. It's not about fucking making your stars like dab on fucking TikTok. It's about like an echo chamber and a conversation.
It's about deep cut references to weird shit on the show that the people who make the show sometimes don't understand why that's the thing that hit, because they paid a lot of money for this other element to the show that hit that's not really doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, well, do we burn so much money we have burned on what we thought was going to be the part of the show that goes, and then throw some amount of money at this weird thing that we super don't get? And I think like you genuinely see that like in the industry, like when you, because it's, you know, especially trying to like, you know, sell characters on things like, well, don't you love Buddy? And we're like, no, we love that stupid dog.
Yes,
we want 10 more episodes with stupid dog. Like, but
give me Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like, but don't you love? We did this fun thing, and here's this like, bring us the horse Thor, or don't even make the movie.
Exactly.
And you know, they're like, no, but we cast very, very beloved actors as villains in this, and we're doing some fun, cool. Like, don't you want to see Thor and Lady Thor? It's like, no, we don't want those two attractive actors. Get them out of here and bring us a gross horse monster.
Thank you.
We've transcended what you think is cool. We're no longer attracted to humans. Like VR fucked everything up, and now we're just like, oh wait, we can just drink beers with horse people. Why would we not?
That's true.
Thank you.
It's got a good point.
So I want to talk a bit about Becky's room, because she's obviously a huge fan.
Right.
She's making this Wincest fan fiction. But a thing that we've never really discussed, we've talked about the Winchester's last name being associated with the rifle, but there's a street sign in her room that says Winchester Boulevard, which is located on Winchester Boulevard in San Jose, California, is the Winchester Mystery House. Kyle, have you ever seen that, been there anywhere?
I went there for my 30th birthday.
Hell yeah.
I had done SF Sketchfest, and I had one more day before we were leaving. And so I did a tour of the Winchester Mystery House. It was raining. There was almost nobody on the tour. So we actually got some like bonus areas from their like ghost tour, just because we were like, had a cool tour guide. It's really neat. It's a wild place. It's very strange. It's my jam. I love an oddity. Like if you can tour an odd place that has like a weird history, I will one ticket for this boy, please.
Roadside oddities are the best, especially in the States.
It's like touring for stand-up is all an elaborate ruse for me to visit homemade museums, roadside oddities, weird, odd historical locations like that is, and restaurants that seem slightly dangerous. Like those are the reasons that I decided to become a traveler.
God, Supernatural is literally made for you.
Yes.
But so this house was built by Sarah Winchester, the eccentric widow who married into the Winchester family. Of course, the Winchesters that we know from the Rifles.
So it's connected.
Exactly, which according to contemporary mediums was cursed, this house. Family members who were said to be haunted by the spirits of Native Americans, obviously because people who you don't understand.
Oh, is there
scary.
A connection to rifles?
Yeah.
Somehow?
Civil War soldiers and others killed by the Winchester rifle specifically. She reportedly built built the house in an effort to appease the revenging-seeking spirits. This house is nuts. They just literally like, well, there'll be a staircase and then a wall. Like, there's just...
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. This house is crazy.
Oh, Reed, if you're unfamiliar, look up photos. Yeah, there's spiraling like wooden staircases that go to nowhere. There's like
fuck
rooms
yeah.
where, like they're totally uneven. Like there's like sideways spaces. Like as you walk through, like you're having to like go through this. Like it's wild. Like there's all these like
it's the Flanders house
that have, like,
when they rebuild Flanders house.
Here's your master bedroom. Yeah.
and it's spooky. Like if you can go, I cannot recommend enough going on like a drizzly day in NorCal.
We're gonna have to do a California trip at some point and do a Winchester tour.
Yes. A California trip is in the cards for us regardless. At some point.
Yeah, absolutely. But so the crazy place, and so that's where this is directly associating. It's not just even the boys or the rifle, but it's this other sort of extra layer here.
Interesting.
So suddenly, as she's writing this incest fan fiction, Wincest, sorry,
not better.
But it's good incest. It's Wincest. Yeah. Chuck instant messages her. The writer of the series she's obsessed with instant messages her and asks her to pass a message to Dean and Sam. But
he says like the angels, like I'm being watched, but not right now. I need you to find Sam and Dean. And she's like, I'm a big fan, but like, please don't make fun of me. And he's like, no, it's real. And she's like, I fucking knew it was real.
Well, no, he says it's all real, and she's like, I knew it. Like it's such a great exchange because like he just has to say it as quickly as possible, and she's just immediately flips from being cool to God damn it, like everything has been confirmed right this second. She's like, not only is your dream come true, but like fucking it's goddamn time.
It's so funny.
Like as a nerd, you're ready to like be ridiculed, so you're like, you know, the things you need to say, which is like, I don't really believe in this thing, like I know that I have a real life, but deep down you're like, at any second I'm ready to be
like
told.
If the Green Lantern just showed up to one of your recordings, and was just like, hey boys, guess what?
Oh,
I'm
my
real.
God. Oh,
yeah, he'd show up and we'd be like, haha, I know we have a podcast. It's not real. He's like, no, like it's real. This is part of the universe. And we're like, yes. Oh, my God.
And I'd be like, can I get a ring? And he'd be like, you're kind of not what we're looking for.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, ooh, that's not. I was rolling over mostly to just give you. I'm going around to all the DC podcasts.
Yeah, because this is the statue of willpower.
Yeah, we got me doing this. We got Hawkman going to the Six Flag parks to let them know.
Fuck you. And fuck you. Go on with your stupid fucking notes. What are we doing next?
But yeah, so he's like, I need you to pass on a message. So then she arrives at the Brothers Motel.
Yeah.
And is amazed to see Sam in person.
Where she fully molests Sam Winchester.
Yes.
It's again my favorite scene in the entire episode. Like and understanding that is a problem, but just no regrets. It's so funny.
He opens the door, she goes, you're Sam, and she's like touching him, she's like, you're so firm.
I like when he's like
firm.
I like when he says, can you not touch me? And she goes, no.
Yeah. Which obviously
is bad.
Problematic.
Yes.
I think I was thinking about it while I was watching the episode.
Yes.
And I was like, beyond the obvious sexism, like why does this read less problematic? And the thing that glued it in for me is that when it's happening in this way, I don't feel, at least not in that scene, I don't feel afraid for Sam. I think there's a version where she could come in more menacing or like.
Oh, I mean, if you ratchet it up 10%, it's Mel from Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah, and I mean, I think where I got with it is that it's not strictly speaking about the gender dynamic. It's about the level of menace, and because this scene is less like. But if you flip the genders and did this exact scene, just because men are men, the menace level goes way up. And then you can't do that.
Unless
scene.
it was Xena and some fucking like 50, like 85 pound like dweeb who's like, oh, geez.
Or if Becky comes in with a knife in her hand, then then the menace level goes up, and then it's like way Jesus. Then it's like way worse.
But so much hotter.
Yes, thank you.
Listen, we all want Black Canary to step on our neck.
I don't know if that's what we were saying.
I mean, I do, but
your neck?
Yeah.
It's nowhere near your balls.
Yeah, but that will help me pass out, and I'm getting way too comfortable with that feeling. I faint a lot.
Yes, without
Like
the
a
aid.
goat.
Kind of.
Yes. Like a shitting goat.
Yeah, I almost passed out on the toilet one day. Yeah.
Ladies. However,
Yeah, I'm in the market.
the message that she gives is angels have lost Michael's sword.
Yeah.
And that is to be found in a castle on a hill made of 42 dogs.
Yes.
Which doesn't seem to make any sense, which is when Bobby arrives in the Impala.
Yeah.
I was worried it was going to be a shitty brewery that they had to find.
Yeah. Yeah. 42 dogs.
42 dogs.
It does very much sound like that. Yeah.
It does, yeah.
And Bobby's got research about the Archangel Michael, Lucifer's older brother and the strongest of the angels. He's got a book and it's literally like these old like religious paintings.
Yeah, it's just, he's like, see, there he is. And Dean makes some comment like, this is their tough guy. He's wearing a blouse or whatever the fuck he says. It's
and
like,
Bobby's like, no,
it's like, Dean, you've been dealing with angels for a year. You know not to fuck with them.
Yeah, so funny. Sam also confesses finally that it was his actions that freed Lucifer.
Yeah. And Bobby is like, you fucking moron. When we get through this, if we manage to stop this, you lose my number. You fucked everyone.
Also,
you fucked us.
The performance level from him, holy shit.
I love Jim Beaver.
Jim Beaver's performance in this is
great.
Incredible. I love him so much.
Very heartbreaking.
When is he bad? When is he bad?
It's true. It's true. I literally have never seen him.
You know, but this is like how do you hurt a Winchester? It's the same way you hurt a Toretto. You take away their family. You know, and so yeah, this scene is great. And again, Jared, we don't often give him props on his acting. Jared is great all through this episode.
Really good.
He's great in this scene. The way he kind of receives that like
insane
blow from Bobby and kind of goes like, "Yep, I get it. I'm gonna go do something else now."
I've been there. Like receiving bad news and needing to just like try to play it as cool as possible because it's like you fucked up and there's nothing you can do about it. And being sad isn't going to get you sympathy. So it's like all you can do is just like intake the information and go, okay, I'm just going to try to be helpful because I fucked up and there's nothing I can do.
Great. Yeah, Jared is objectively crushing it in this episode.
As a guy
is maybe I know we like to say it's Bad Day at BlackRock, but like this might be one of the strongest Jared episodes.
100%. As a guy who has like issues with like alcohol and violence in real life, I can imagine that he's probably been in this position.
Then why do we keep making Docmus such like an aggressive display?
I'm not talking about me.
Things?
I'm talking about Jared.
Oh, sorry.
What? Shut up.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about you. I blacked out for a second. I faint a lot.
I mean, for like 30 seconds, I thought, and then he meant the actor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I don't know why it's so easy for everyone.
Well,
I don't know what about me makes it so easy to think that I have an alcohol problem.
Never mind.
Episode 12 of Docmus every year.
So
check
Sam
out the
leaves.
Dr. DC podcast.
They're not listening to that podcast. Come on.
I mean, they're definitely not. I've looked at the numbers.
While researching further, Dean gets an idea. While going through some of John Winchester's old things, including his ticket to January 6th, his
his ticket.
Yeah. He's one insurrection, please.
Yeah, it's a photo of John Winchester and Mike Pence.
He finds a receipt for a storage facility that fits the message from Chuck.
This is a real Batman 66 solving the Riddler kind of moment where he's like, Castle Storage 42 Rover Lane Dogs.
Very true. But they go, oh, this has got to be the place. This is going to be where Michael's sword is.
Yeah.
And Bobby immediately goes, great. That's all I needed to hear, and attacks Dean.
Yeah, and we get black eyes.
Yeah.
Bobby is possessed by a demon. Now, here's the thing. Bobby doesn't strike me as a guy to get tattoos. That is fair.
Sure.
You know, Sam and Dean have their anti-possession tattoos.
Yeah.
I get it that Bobby wouldn't have that, but wasn't Bobby the one who gave them fucking anti-possession amulets before they got the tattoo? Come on, Bobby. It's the apocalypse. You're not...
I know it's a big oversight on his
Yeah,
part.
got to wear that fucking amulet, baby.
Real do as I do, or do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, bet you Bobby also drives with a seatbelt.
Yeah, and skates without a helmet.
Yeah.
Just then, a woman arrives with a henchman, and holy shit!
Holy shit!
Finally, we get
more
her.
demons show up, but this particular demon, it's Meg 2.0, baby.
The superior Meg.
The better Meg.
Yes.
We haven't seen Meg since season 2.
Yeah. Not a giant shark in this situation.
Because we've been not the Meg.
Yeah.
Just a Meg.
Yes.
Nor the ant from Twister.
Solid Meg.
So specific.
Neither, and not
The best Meg.
not
So
Orion either.
So specific.
It's not to me. It's in my all of Twister is available in my heart at all times.
Wow.
The thing that I think about at least once a month is how like an actual Twister took out a drive-in theater showing the movie Twister when the movie was out.
Wow, what a 4D experience.
Well, especially since there's a scene of a Twister destroying a drive-in in the movie.
Yes.
Oh my god. It's oh no.
I know.
Some sort of metafictional
That's
nesting
the
doll.
meta media that I want.
Yeah.
But yeah, Meg shows up.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we haven't seen her in like 2 seasons.
She's great. I love this actor. Her Rachel Miner, is that her name? I
I just
think.
want her to like treat me like shit.
Easy.
For media purposes.
Yeah, for research.
Yeah. And reasons. The demon that was once working with Azazel, Yellow Eyes from our first 2 seasons, and possessed Sam during the events of Born Under a Bad Sign.
That's right. And she shows up and
She throws out a line, "These are the days of miracle and wonder," which is a line from the Paul Simon song, The Boy in a Bubble.
and they're she's taunting and she hands the demon knife to Bobby, like the possessed
Demon
Bobby,
Bobby, yeah.
and says, Bobby's awake in there, and I want him to like feel it when he slices you up, and you're like, oh Jesus.
Yep.
And Bobby briefly gets control over his body
Yeah.
from the power of family, gets
Goddamn
control back from the demon and stabs himself, killing the demon and giving himself a grievous sort of wound,
Which is
but
basically the only person we've ever seen being stabbed with this that didn't die.
right away. Yeah.
Sam.
Hear me out.
Yeah.
Real quick tangent.
Yeah.
Now what we need to do, since I'm realizing this show is also a Power of Family, we need not just like a Fast and the Furious like crossover,
Which I've
what
been
we need
begging for.
is like an Avengers like Endgame. Like the Torettos are going to battle with whatever it is in the end, and then you hear an on your left, and you turn, it's the Supernatural Boys and Bobby and the El Camino, and then we figure out more of these things that we can easily license and afford to also be there.
Yeah, what are some other
Herbie
good,
the
like-
Love Bug. Let's see.
So wait, is
Bumblebee.
it's all car based.
Car-
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, is it-
Family-based setups. The Swiss Family Robinsons, but they're
Yeah.
driving the Partridge Family bus.
Chevy
The
Impala,
Partridge Family
roll
bus,
out.
but they're in the Munsters mobile.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I like it.
I mean, we've been pushing for Supernatural Fast and
Fucking
Furious forever.
Kit.
Yeah.
Fucking love it.
The A-Team van.
Yeah.
I still can't get over the fact that Kit's voice is Mr. Feeney.
Oh shit.
Have you ever seen 1776? He plays John Adams in that. That's a real fun time.
Oh, weird.
He'll always be Feeney to me.
Nice.
So Sam returns and helps dispatch the other 2 demons, but Meg escapes by leaving her vessel.
Well, yeah, and Meg is taunting Sam like, you don't have your demon mojo, you weak little cuck. She's like beating the shit out of him.
It's
Sorry.
an exact line. It was a
Yeah.
crazy moment.
I put some of my own shit into that scene.
Your
there
own
for a second.
fan fiction. We return then to Nick,
Yeah.
who is
This scene
wandering
is
through his
fucked up.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, my wife was like, I don't like this. And I was like,
shouldn't.
You're right. Yeah.
Every episode has a moment where I'm like, Supernatural, you fucking rule. And this is definitely that scene. Where I was
Yes.
like, what if we just did Silent Hill 2 for a sustained 3 minutes?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. So we find out that his wife and child had been murdered during a home invasion.
Yeah, and he like he's like trying to put stuff, or he hears the baby monitor. He has to like take it out of a box, and it's going, and he walks into the room, and then just blood pours out from the crib, and he has a look, and there's nothing in there, and he turns around, and the baby's crying again. Like it's so fucked up, and this guy just starts weeping on the floor because it's like,
and then they just
is
cut
he
away.
going crazy?
Yeah.
Is it just guilt? You know, like all this
crazy.
kind of shit. Yeah, we
meanwhile-
obviously know what's happening, but.
We just cut away, and now we
Yeah.
go back to Sam and Dean, who are dropping off Bobby at a hospital, and then heading to John's lockup.
Yeah.
Once there, they find some dead demons and Zachariah with some angel muscle.
Yeah, and Zachariah says, you know what? We did lose the Michael sword, and it is here, but it's not a thing. We needed to find you. You had your fucking hex bags, and you fell for the trap. And we learned that Dean is the Michael sword.
That's right.
That Dean is like the chosen vessel for the Archangel Michael. And so that Zachariah is like, so you will fucking come with us. And it starts this insane angel torture scene that I really like.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's really good. Like, I love the sort of like, I love the kind of desperate menace of the angels here, because they're like, we've gone this far. We let Lucifer out. We have to do this.
Yeah. It's
They
true.
literally kill Sam. Like by the time you see in the background, Sam has stopped moving because he has asphyxiated without lungs.
Yeah. So like part of the
Like
thing
Sam
is like
casually dies in this episode, like midway through.
Zechariah like points a finger gun and breaks Sam's leg. He gives Dean stage 4 lung cancer.
Stomach cancer.
Sorry, stomach cancer. He removes
Sam's lungs.
lungs, like that episode of Voyager where it happens to Neelix.
With oh yeah, and then Kess gives him a lung.
Yeah, they have to give him holographic lungs for a bit.
SDL.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah, and it's going
They're
really
both creatures of immense power.
it's going
shit.
really poorly. Zachariah is like going full villain mode here, and then who the fuck shows up?
I'm a
Fucking
sidebar
Cass,
interrupt you for a
baby.
second just to throw out. Hey everybody, speaking of hell and Voyager, rewatch Star Trek Voyager under the idea that they die and they are in hell for the series, and it totally changes Star Trek Voyager into a horror series.
Oh yeah. I
Oh,
mean
If
that's
they die at the end of season 3 or at the first episode when the thing explodes, and they're just
Right.
in hell for the remainder of the series.
well shit.
No wonder you love Lost.
Yeah. I love wackadoo things.
But yeah, Zachariah confirms that they actually, the reason why they're trying so hard is because they need Dean's consent, which I mean, I kind of love this whole thing where it's
It's
like,
a great conceit.
yeah,
You know, demons could just take your body because they're demons.
They're bad
Angels
people.
need you to say yes.
it's a great like conversation about permission, which like doesn't need to exist on the show like this, but
Yeah. It's awesome.
though in the same episode,
And I mean,
they do get like sexual harassment from.
but there's also this thing
Becky
too of like, I mean, you know, your boy loves lore. I love rules and shit.
is that a thing you?
And I specifically love when rules like kind of acknowledge that like this is angels are way more powerful than demons, so we need to give them a crippling disadvantage, which is that you cannot just have a host. You know what I mean? Like
it's Martian
That's my
Manhunter's like fire thing.
Favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's my favorite setup in a story. It's why I like the type of horror I like specifically hits this kind of thing. Is like there is no kind of story I like better than that a group of people who are absolutely and entirely in every way outclassed and totally boned have to somehow defeat a thing that does not have to follow any of the rules that they do,
Yeah.
and can kind of do whatever at its leisure. Because it's to me like that is horror in some ways at its most basic, is just like you have no control over a universe that can do whatever it wants to you.
Yeah.
Also, title of my sex tape: Outclassed and Totally Boned.
You're just fucked by a bunch of people in top hats. Where do you find 5 guys dressed as the Monopoly guy?
Yeah, right.
Jesus Christ.
Reed is done. Reed is checked out.
Outclassed and totally. Nothing makes me more upset than when I like your jokes.
If
Welcome
it makes
to
you feel
Kyle's
better, it's just built around words I said.
Yeah, true.
World. We're like a duo. We're like a team up.
Fair.
Ed McMahon over here diving on this grenade.
So just then, Castiel appears, the person who we thought was dead, the angel that was supposed to have exploded.
And he immediately kills the shit out of an angel and fights the other one for a bit and then kills him.
He's also
too.
my favorite now.
Is this the first time we see an angel blade?
No, is it?
I think this is the first
time.
No.
They had it in the fight with Uriel.
You're right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's
we haven't seen it much though,
and he scares the shit out of Zachariah.
Oh yeah,
because he's just some fucking like stooge.
So that, and then Zachariah's like, Cass, what the? I thought you were dead, and he's like, I was. And then he's like, how do you think they got on that plane? How do you think I came back from the dead? Because Zachariah's whole thing last season is God's left the building.
Yeah.
And Cass strongly implies that it's like, listen, you fucked up. This is not the plan.
Yeah.
And Zachariah has like Cass does a great like, so you're gonna heal these boys and leave. I will not ask again.
Oh
You're like,
God,
oh,
yes,
fuck yes,
yes, daddy,
fuck yeah.
And again, at that point, Sam is dead in the scene, and they never acknowledge it.
Yeah,
and it's the best part of the scene. Is just the meta of like this incredible dread. It's maybe the best run of dialogue that's not by Becky in the episode. Yeah. And there's just Sam's dead body is in the background if you choose to acknowledge it.
I never thought about
Dean
that.
Dean is
That's
dying still. Sam is lifelessly not moving.
Yeah, and then so Zachariah heals the boys, kind of does this. Flies away when the camera cuts. The boys are like, Cass, you're alive? And he's like, yeah, I don't know how either. And then
they're like, yeah, but who do you think it was? And Cass disappears.
And Cass just disappears.
So
why?
This marks the first episode.
Sorry, before he does that, Cass gives us a great conceit for the season, because obviously, angels can find you pretty easy.
Oh, yeah.
So Cass burns Enochian sigils into their ribs that will mask them from any angel.
Fucking, he carves them in.
Yeah. Oh, I want Cass to carve
me from the
inside.
Like
sorry, what was your problem with Becky?
Is that she's not me.
Then there's Menace.
Yeah.
So this marks the first episode in which Misha Collins has moved from a guest role to now a starring role.
Sorry, Reed, I apologize for about you, but like, see, a little guy can be threatening to a big guy. We unproved our theory from before.
Yep.
We did it.
Castiel's still not a full-time like cast member, but now he's a starring role. I don't know how, Kyle, you probably know how those things work a bit more, right? But
he's still like recurring. He's not like
he's a
series regular.
No, he's not. He's a starring role, which apparently is different.
Like guest.
Is he in
star?
every episode now?
Yes, but he's not like a full-time cast member because it was a long.
Okay,
it took forever to do that.
It's getting him into the credits setup there. Okay, so he's sort of what Adam Scott and Rob Lowe are the first season that they are in, where they are in cast, but it's sort of a like, but introducing, here's some new thing that may or may not still be here. So we got to make a segment of the credits that we can easily lop off.
And there's like a good reason why they like really don't want to like make people like full-time cast members. Like, is there like a
pay thing or something?
Money, or
it's a pay bump. There's a lot of advantages to it.
Sure.
It's tricky on both ends because like you want to get that pickup, but at the same time, like once you're locked into that, it also is like that is where you are. Like you are living in TV land and working there.
And you have to like get permission to do other stuff at that point.
Yeah, like, and you're probably not going to get that, especially if you're like, a cast member on Supernatural, I don't know, is throwing their weight around to get that big starring role in something else.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So
none of them is going to be Iron Man.
No, I mean,
although Jensen was up for Hawkeye.
Yeah, this close to being Hawkeye, but couldn't do it because of the show.
Can you imagine a sexy Hawkeye?
Could you imagine if we gave a shit about Hawkeye?
Hey, that show was
like looked
right.
cool.
The show's great, but not because of him.
No.
Well, Hawkeye, I'm so torn because like it's the plainest of all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe costumes in a big bad way, but like you can look at classic Hawkeye for 5 seconds and go like, oh well, we're certainly not doing that, or even anything remotely close to that purple masked tank top look.
Yeah, it's true.
So we are now back with Nick. Lucifer then appears as Nick's wife again, Sarah, and tells him that he is a vessel. And
Here's
Lucifer
the
needs him to consent to possess him.
This is the thing I love about this scene, and Lucifer even says it outright. It goes like, people misunderstand me. I don't lie. And in this scene, Lucifer just goes, I'm not your wife. Like, kind of appears as his apparition, says, I'm not your wife. I'm an angel. My name is Lucifer. And, Nick is kind of like, no, thank you.
And, like, Satan, thank you.
And he sits down and he's like, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I need a vessel. You are special. You can be my vessel. Why would God let this horrible thing happen to your family? Like, Lucifer's not...
He's convincing.
He's manipulative, but not wrong.
Yeah.
And he eventually, it's a very heartbreaking scene. I gotta say, it's exceedingly well performed.
Yeah.
Whatever the problematic elements of Mark Pellegrino are, he delivers this shit
incredibly
well. He's great. And ultimately, Lucifer convinces him to say yes. We get this blinding light. We see it from outside. Lucifer's found his vessel, and Zechariah in the episode was like, "We have to kill Lucifer before he finds the vessel."
Because once that happens,
then it's like Four Horsemen shit. We got to get out of here, and so it's bad.
I love the line where he says, like, "What's my biggest crime? I loved God too much."
Yeah,
like
which is probably the closest we get to a lie.
Yeah, I was about to say it's the one lie, which is kind of perfect. That the one lie they give is like their motivation because it changes the truth entirely for everything else.
Yeah,
what he says to Nick is that he's like, your family got murdered. He's like, don't you want justice? Like, I can give you that. I'll be honest.
Yeah, because
Nick is gonna suck being possessed by me.
Yeah, it's not gonna feel great. And Nick says, "Can you bring my family back?" And
he says, "No,
I can't."
Which is a nice metaphor for revenge, where you always think it's gonna fill that hole, but nah, it's not.
That heartbreaking moment where he's just like, I can't bring your family back.
Which also a lie.
Yeah.
Cass brought Dean back from hell. Cass is not of the caliber of angel of Lucifer.
I don't know if he can't go to heaven, and I don't necessarily know if his wife and child are in hell.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
They were.
No, they were as a family, a group of serial killers.
Yeah, the baby included.
The baby was laundering money.
And it's a boss baby?
It's a boss baby.
Oh, okay. That makes
a boss baby situation.
That baby steals identities.
Oh my God.
The talented Mr. Baby.
Yeah, the baby has a fishing program that is taking advantage of a lot of people.
There was a deleted scene where the baby goes, turtle.
The baby makes bootleg NFTs and then sells them to people.
Yeah. Oh no, all my apes.
The baby also, for good measure, sells bootleg anime DVDs.
Yeah.
It's just because it really gets him for himself.
I don't want to say the wife and baby had it coming, but
the world's a better place now.
Yeah. Now we can only buy legitimate versions of Perfect Blue.
Yeah, but I got a great copy of Bleach from it. So Nick
270p because it's every single episode of the show on one disc.
Yeah.
So the host that Lucifer takes his name Nick. In some traditions, the devil is referred to as Old Nick.
Yeah,
which is a kind of a cool
Lil Nicky.
Hey, there you go, Old Saint Nick, the devil.
Yeah, he wears red.
Yeah,
Santa, Satan.
Oh my God.
All that has done is made Santa totally in my canon of rad dudes, though. Don't
the American Dad
the
episodes. The American Dad.
Now
episodes
a devil is bringing
Holy
me
shit.
presents. Your move now, rest of religion.
I do like that. And Teen Titans.
In Teen Titans Go, Santa is a recurring villain of the.
I fucking love that. I that's so great.
He keeps calling them.
I believe that part of the Teen Titans was awesome.
Teen Titans Go is incredible.
It's untouchable. It's so good.
You would love it.
Fully co-signed. Love it all.
At the hospital, Bobby yells at the doctor who tells him he was not going to be able to walk again. Dean then makes a stirring speech saying that they should take them all on, angels and demons, and just try to win.
I do like that Dean is like, we win, they don't win. And Bobby goes, how? And he goes, I don't fucking know.
What he says is a give him hell attitude.
Yeah, it's very funny. It's very Dean. But I mean, I like that. He's like, listen, like, we can't pick one of these sides. Both of them end in like millions, if not all of the deaths.
Yeah.
So ostensibly he sets up that season 5 is just the comic book Preacher, but supernatural.
Yeah. These guys love comic books.
Like it is funny watching it where I'm like, man, there's the reason that like the Preacher TV series didn't work, and it is that Supernatural really kind of beat him to the punch by 10 years.
Yeah.
As Dean and Sam leave the room, Bobby admits that it was the demon who said that he wanted nothing to do with Sam, and that no matter what Sam has done, he will never stop contact with him. I know. As they walk to the car, Dean admits the speech was for Bobby's benefit. Sam again tries to get Dean to talk about what happened, and Dean admits that he feels deeply hurt and let down by Sam, and that even though he knows Sam is sorry, he doesn't know if he can ever trust him again.
I have this issue. Dean has fucked up and fucked over Sam so many times. He's not been there. He's done all these things. And this thing that Sam did with the best of intentions and as a drug addict, like Dean is really, to me, kind of a like manipulative and withholding relative.
I mean, I think that's a legitimate argument to make. The thing that I like about this scene in terms of how it's performed and the dialogue and stuff like that is I think even Dean maybe understands that, like, the ultimate thing is Dean is just like, this is just like how I feel. You know what? He's like, I get it. I know you're sorry.
He has
like,
to articulate feelings for the first time, and it's tough for Dean.
Well, yeah.
Me no like, me think pain heart.
But also, like,
Yes.
but Dean is saying, like, I'm not saying you don't feel bad enough, and I'm not saying it was even 100% your fault, but like, I am so disappointed in you, and I maybe intellectually know I shouldn't be, but I cannot get past this.
It's one of the hardest parts about becoming an adult, which is realizing that I'm sorry doesn't take away the problem.
What?
Then explain your entire culture.
Yeah.
Hey now. I mean, it might explain our entire culture, which is like, technically we did the right thing, but it's like, did you really?
Yeah, no, it's like, yeah, we gave the land back.
We did not.
Well, in some situations we did.
100% did not.
Some land.
But
It's good enough, right?
It's just such an odd thing that, like, even though, like, has he brought upon the end of the world? Absolutely. Is that on Sam? Yes. He done fucked up. But I guess I don't understand the magnitude of this, because it feels like
pop.
They have both equally put the world into like perpetual apocalyptic danger on several occasions.
Right.
And Sam's really taken the brunt on this. Now I understand that at this point, this is just the Sam girl in me talking, where I'm justifying his action.
I'll be honest, Sam's usually the one who's at fault.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are a Sam girl. Just
You're a
generally.
bit skewed because of what you've watched so far.
That's the other thing too, is like Sam has just been a dumbass a bit. But now, I mean, here's the thing. I kind of agree in this moment that, like,
also, if Lucretia Lyon was here, she'd say you're a lesbian then.
Yes, yeah.
If you're either a Sam,
You're a
you're either a Dean girl or you're
we
a
all knew that.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, but
my girlfriend and I like going to places in matching flannels.
I love that. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing that I like is I think even Dean acknowledges it, but he's just like, I am incapable of not feeling this way about you.
Yes.
Like, I'm so disappointed and hurt, and that it's like, I know I shouldn't be, but I can't.
It just doesn't go away like that.
I can't. Yeah.
So that is the end of the episode. Let's talk about our reviews.
Woo!
Kyle, you are our guest. We will start with you. Talk about what you thought about this episode, a summation of your feelings, and give it a score out of 5, whatever you want.
Yeah.
Loved it. Not as bombastic, a much more kind of like measured, episode. I will say that, like, I was a little bit like, oh, I wonder, like, what that vibe will be like. And there is enough it's fun watching the show get very confident and comfortable with what it does, because I really enjoy watching the show is just starting to really like, and again, based on my 4 episodes I've watched, but like seems to be getting comfortable with just like being the show and kind of going like, hey, like you guys kind of understand the dynamic of what's going on. If you're new to the show, like it's 2 brothers, they fight demons. You'll get the rest of it as it comes along.
Yeah.
But like, I think that I mean, like the Becky thing, and again, I would have fallen in love with the writer thing. Like that's one of the episodes that I'm really excited to go back and watch.
Oh God, I can't wait.
When we hit episodes or season 7, I'm 2 episodes away from being able to watch the first 6 seasons.
1 year,
I cannot wait. And so, I mean, even if the episode had been absolute dog shit, which is very much not, and that Becky scene was in it, I'd been like 5 out of 5. But like, I really. I think that they're setting the table really nicely. I think that this feels more like the new arc of a comic book, but very much like an old school Teen Titans or X-Men comic book storyline where it's kind of the same arc, but like they got to hit a restart with the title somewhere. So it's Proteus, and then we just bomb around Europe for a while, like, and that's its own arc. But so that's such a weird specific comic book reference.
Never done before on this podcast.
Deep cut 80s Marvel Comics reference to the DC guys, like, but and so like I like that the brothers' relationship is kind of strained. I think it's a real solid Bobby moment. Like I like that Bobby has the ability to almost overpower demonic possession. Like the implication that Bobby is kind of a tool of holy retribution is kind of great.
Yes.
And then that devil scene convincing going in, that whole Nick subplot thing is bold as hell. It plays. That whole thing could play like a short horror film that would 100%. Have a really kind of crazy ending of like being tortured and then having the devil asked to take over your body is like pretty cool.
Atmospheric horror, like
absolutely.
Best,
the Castiel return scene, I imagine, is just a real fan favorite moment where like your boy just like wanders in and saves the day, and like a thing where like it's a scene that has no consequence because again their flippant ability to kill Sam mid episode and not even acknowledge it. Like that like Dean's probably not going to have stage 4 stomach cancer at the end of this scene.
Yes,
but that'd be bold if they made him just deal with that.
And just like Castiel popping in and just reminding the audience that he is their fan favorite character and he's going to do fan favorite stuff that only the fan favorite can do. And just Boba Fett this shit everywhere. And so I like that. But so again, it just feels like it is a show. It's my favorite kind of show where like it starts to feel lived in. And characters are not necessarily acting the way they acted as the season 1 thing. Again, it's Voyager's my fucking gold standard for this. Like Tom Paris and B'Elanna Torres are very, very different characters by the time you get to season 3, 4 or 5 on that show versus where they are at the beginning. And I think like that's, I think the strength of a lot of like episodic shows that still move forward, like, in genre stuff is it's always more compelling when you kind of like are able to gradually grow. I think like prestige TV is like in 13 episodes, we need to have someone live an entire lifetime in a way that is like kind of emotionally overwhelming and has no chill to it. Whereas like this older kind of format, like it's the same way I used to like comic books, and comic books kind of don't do this anymore either, is like, the one I always think of is Fables. By issue 5 billion of Fables, like no character from the first arc is even in the goddamn book anymore. And it's so gradually shifted that you still know everybody around and whatever's happening, like all the pieces kind of going despite things changing. And I think that this show is building out a cast really beautifully that is everybody feels lived in. Everything kind of makes sense within the logic of the show without having to give a shit about the logic of real life. And so again, I am so grateful for this podcast to find out that a show I absolutely 1000% would have absolutely never given a chance to is like one of my favorite, slowly becoming like one of my favorite shows.
Hell yeah. So there you go. 5 out of 5.
There we go.
Holy shit.
I mean, I agree. Obviously, in very broad strokes. The thing that I love about and Kyle found a way to articulate it I wouldn't have found, which is that idea that like this does feel like season 4 plus.
Yeah.
Like the previous seasons has really been like, and here's a bunch of new shit, and here's a bunch of, you know, just to set up. And this really feels like, no, it's just the consequence of the last thing, you know,
which is kind of what the show does moving forward.
Yeah, you know, and I really appreciate that, because then you get to see, well, what has changed since the incident, and the incident being Lucifer gets out. We see a shift in how Zachariah acts. He's more aggressive with them because he is terrified, because now they've committed to this course of action and they have to see it through.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one thing to be like, yeah, we'll let the apocalypse happen. We like our odds, but now it's happened and he still hasn't gotten through to Dean. And he's like, fuck, like we bet it all this way, you know? And so I like the shift in him. I like the shift in Sam and Dean from where we were. And the thing that I think seals it all is it would be so easy for the show to be like, you know, even at the beginning of the show, it kind of does this. It would be so easy for them to go, Lucifer got out. Now it's fucking evil time.
Yeah.
And, you know, the radio bit is a little bit like that, where it's like hurricanes, blah, 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 blah. But there's almost the implication that, like,
that shit doesn't matter.
or also, like, it is almost certainly connected, but it's also kind of incidental.
Yeah.
Because when you see Lucifer's just like, I misunderstood.
Yeah.
I won't lie to you. I just need to. It's very calm.
Which is
it's not like,
scarier.
you know,
and slow apocalypse is the scariest apocalypse.
Yeah.
You know, when if the moon falls, and then the moon fell. But like when it's the Bowie song 5 years, you're just like, oh fuck, that's so much worse.
But there's also the piece of like, we know Lucifer's bad because he's like manipulating this poor guy with all this grief and loss and all these images and stuff like that. But also, like, it would be easy for him to just like lock the doors, shake the house, and be like, you will say yes. And he goes like, yes, you know, like, and that, maybe that's like scary in its own way. But the idea that like, so is like, it's almost the threat of like, is Lucifer going to win people over? And that's like more threatening than evil is out and it's more powerful than us. It's more like, is evil is out and maybe people want it more than, you know, like, I think that's the thing this episode sets up. And you're like, well, shit, like, it's a much bigger deal than just whether or not you have the power and the sword to get him. It's like, is he right? Like, I mean, he's not, obviously, but I love asking that question, you know?
But it's almost like a metaphor for like domestic abuse and gaslighting and like poor relationships. Like, it's really just like, hey, like, all this bad stuff's happening around you, but like, you know me though. Like, I'm just here for you. Like, this other stuff is happening to you. It's like, no, you did that stuff. Like, you're the one who made the fucking bed bleed. Like,
but it's
like, but it's also that asshole who's like, I'm super honest about all of this. And I'm like, yeah, but you're largely like doing it for a point. Like,
yes, you're still trying to get something. Whether you're being truthful about it doesn't make it okay.
So I love all of that shit in this episode. I think the performances, I think this episode might be the single best performed episode of Supernatural we watched yet. Jared is great.
Meg,
the new Meg, amazing in this. Bobby, killing it, both as Demon
Fuller.
Bobby and Kurt Fuller, great. Cass is great. Jensen's great. Like, everyone is giving the best version of a performance in this show. Yeah, I mean, this is I'm going to give this 5 lungless Sams.
Oh, very nice.
There we go.
I mean, there's not much more to say. I think that the reality is like, this is the beginning now of the rest of the series.
Yes.
Like the previous season was sort of like, okay, we're setting up for the rest of the series. Like, all of season 4 is going, hey, we're going to introduce all of these different concepts to get you ready for the beginning of the actual series.
Yeah, and I think part of what makes this season so strong is that they still, at this point, were like,
we're going to end it season.
This is the last season. So all of those things they're building, they throw so much of it in. Like, it's actually, it's not really a slow burn season.
No.
Like, all of these things would be like, oh, that's a fun idea, or like, what an interesting wink. It's all in this season. And then they go like, oh, we're going to keep going. And then they can only build on it from there, which makes the show fun moving on.
Which is why the only real failing season is the season, season 7.
Season 6.
Or season 6.
Season
is it?
6
season
has
6,
a hard
sorry.
time capturing the footing. And then after that, they pretty much figure it out,
Yeah.
more or less.
Exactly.
You know?
And so I think that for me, it's just so exciting to be like, oh, all of the pieces are now in place.
Yeah.
This is just the show like running at a fucking 11. And it's like just from here on, it's like, oh, we know now how to work. We've got a conversation going with the audience. They know their place within the show.
Yeah.
It's like we can reference the thing. We can do comedy and horror in the same episode. We can like do these crazy, huge, gigantic concepts. We can play with genre. Like it's all ready now for this season. Everything's been working up to get us to this point. So it's just so exciting to like finally be here and go like, oh yeah, we can reference ourselves and it doesn't feel like a crazy swing.
Yeah.
We can do some crazy fucking baby killing horror and that feels all right.
And then shift to like a real kind of down the middle kind of the way you would normally do an episode.
Yeah. It's everything is here. So yeah, I'm giving this like 5 out of 5 titillating Wincest stories.
Woo.
So happy for that. Well, that was our reviews, but I needed to do this final this note from a fellow hunter we received.
Sure.
Because we needed to tie the loop together with the Sam blood.
Wow, we got another.
So Kyle, this was a conversation that happened in like season 2.
It was way back. We asked a question during an episode about could you transfuse out demon blood?
Because if the whole thing with Sam is that
if you had demon blood in you, could you transfuse it out? And we have gotten no fewer than 8 notes back from different doctors and nurses and vets and people that were like
Is it
telling
fun
us
to
about
do the
blood
math and
transfusion.
realize that people so much smarter than you are entertained by this?
I mean, I don't know why.
And I say that as somebody who just has all the blood on their hands as far as an accomplice goes. But truly, like our betters are amused by us, and that both I feel so much joy and shame.
Yeah, I mean that's not how I view them, but
so.
Well,
this is the perfect bow.
You have
on
to
this
specify that though to a certain extent. I mean, there's a wide net.
So another
You
take.
set that one up. Like, come on.
I know. I did it.
Set up a ramp. What am I going to do? Not evil Knievel over it?
Were you doing the General Lee?
Jumping off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
Jesus
Richard's
Christ, come on.
energy here has got a real like. Can we go?
Well, I also know that you have a time limit.
I do have a
So-
in a bit. Yeah.
Another take on Sam's demon blood.
All right.
Hello, your in-house interventional radiologist here again. I wrote you guys about the possibility of replacing all of Sam's blood a while back. Couple of comments are the accountant who wrote in. Number 1. So this is them addressing the things that were said by somebody else.
So now we are playing telephone.
This is the
between
letters
people that
page.
listen. Yeah.
Yes, I fucking love it. Number 1. Agree that the way Sam is ingesting demon blood does treat it more like nutrients in food than anything else.
Sure.
That was going to be my base question. It's like he's consuming it as food, so it's not a blood transfusion because that's not how blood works.
So, was going to ignore this for the sake of simplicity. But if we want to talk about the biological effects of what you ingest versus what you inject, we may have to bring up how lycanthropy and vampirism are transmitted in the SPN universe. It's possibly too much to get into in one email. Suffice it to say, if baby Sam had gotten his stomach pumped or just thrown up before he fully ingested the demon blood, this may never have been an issue for him later on.
Right.
Although,
So it's the baby's fault.
obviously,
Always.
it's another boss baby.
Boss baby situation.
Although, why were his psychic powers dormant for so many years? How was Yellow Eyes able to activate those powers without Sam getting more demon blood initially?
Right.
Why now that Yi is gone to do the powers Yellow Eyes?
Right.
Not Kanye.
Kanye, yeah.
Yi, not Ye.
It can be both.
Is gone. Do the powers require more blood? Presumably something to do with the epigenetics. How certain environmental factors can turn off and on genes you have, but maybe dormant, etc. But if we are to treat the demon blood like a simple nutrient, we can. Let's say it's a mineral like potassium. You can alter your cellular chemistry with infusions, an intravenous route. If they need to be altered to what you've ingested, example, you're super low in potassium, and to replace it, we need to give you an oral or IV potassium. We test your potassium levels through your blood. But this also gives us an idea of what your intracellular potassium is. Something as simple as hemodialysis could be used to change the nutrient/demon versus human balance of same cells. Number 2,
Jesus.
We often do liver/kidney and liver/pancreas transplants together. Only organ you really can't transplant is the brain and whole eyes.
Right.
Heart, lungs, kidneys, liver, pancreas, uterus, bone marrow, blood transfusions, corneas, small bowel, feces, and skin are all fair game. Nice. Would probably take several surgeries over several months, and the medications used to keep one organ alive could very easily ruin another organ. But it is theoretically possible to replace almost everything. Gallbladder and spleen aren't worth replacing. Love getting to weigh in these conversations. Sorry this one was hella long. Keep up the great content and the Jensen lust. Best, Dr. Christine.
Holy shit.
What a solid, that dialysis thing is genius.
I know.
Like if somebody's not like using that in a genre novel as a way to like do like that's what they should have done in the original ending of 28 Days Later. Are you familiar? They have to do the blood transfusion, and literally the Alex Garland stops the frame when they're showing the scene. He goes, "How would this work? They're gonna run bleach through his veins. Like this can't possibly be a thing." So we had to change the ending.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Dr. Christine, thank you so much. I hope this is not the last time that you weigh in.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, love it.
Yeah,
Maybe there's something else that will stir up this much conversation from the medical community.
Yeah, from the person she was responding to. Do you have something you want us to pass along?
From an accountant standpoint?
Yeah, from accountancy.
I fucking love this so much.
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
gotta pay for the medical bills for all that anti-vampire stuff. There's also I was like, just in case they are out there, I'd love to hear the thoughts of Dr. Michael Morbius on this subject.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, as you know, America has been taken with Morbius fever.
I want Morbius.
Yeah.
We're starting to like Morbius is really hitting what we thought the Guardians of the Galaxy would do, where you learn there is a floor to the rich history of the Marvel universe. Like there are characters who inherently just can't always win. Like, a talking tree and a raccoon with a gun is shit that's on our bad for not making that famous sooner.
100%.
Like
so,
we're gonna, yeah.
So I mean, Kyle,
I was gonna say, is the argument though that Jared Leto is the floor?
He was in Requiem for a Dream, the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Kyle, tell everybody where they can find you. All the things you got going on.
Let's see. I'm at Kyle Clark is rad on Twitter and Instagram, but I use the Instagram.
Yeah, you do.
To the bullying of Richard Eden, my sometimes manager. I've got stuff going on there. I'm posting stand-up videos that I've done, and I also took myself to one-man art school during COVID, and so I've been posting artwork and stuff on there. And then I have podcasts. I have numerous podcasts. This is Rad. That's my main one. It's me and Matthew Burnside have people on. They talk about stuff they like, and tangents occur. If you like this bullshit, you are a fan. It is very similar. But then including a supernatural episode that is a lot of fun. And I believe you guys are talked about in passing because it's one of your guests, Lucretia Lyon, who is just a treasure. And so I have a show called Everything is Scary. It is a podcast about horror movies that I do with Jen Saunderson and Amy Drolet. If you want
everybody
to hear
here should love
pals talk about Cannibal Holocaust, that's pretty much the plot to the show. And then I have an album called Absolute Terror that is available. It's out on Radland Records, my record label. I feel like such a dipshit when I do the full promo run.
Look, this is the place.
I have a comic book called Tales from an Analog Future. You can only buy it from me in person at the moment. I do have them in my trunk, so I can literally sell you one out of the trunk. Like I'm too short, and it's awesome.
Yeah, give that address out.
And then it's like a food truck. It's like, guys, I got to go to Best Buy. So if you catch me in the next 30, see if I got that Steelbook if they were out already. But so yeah, so that exists. That will be available in a larger way at some point. And so yeah, that's more than enough bullshit for you to do to check out stuff I do.
And only the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, look, I can't be doing all this. If I stop working, I'll die.
Well, if you want to keep this conversation going on like Dr. Christine did, or that we've done throughout this entire episode, you can join us online through our special Discord that you can reach through our Patreon.
That's right. Patreon.com/ghostfacers. It's just $1. It gives you access to Angel Radio, our dedicated Discord server. We're having lots of fun conversations over there. People are sharing truly harrowing stories of paranormal encounters.
Yeah.
I
love that shit so much.
We're having a great time. It's a lot of fun. It helps support us.
And if you want to continue to help support us, you can email us.
Ghostfacerspodcast@gmail.com.
You can also reach us on all of our different social media platforms.
We're at GhostfacersPod on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Give us 5-star reviews while you're on your little podcast platforms.
Don't talk down to them.
Yeah, you scamps. Look at you. And if you give us a 5-star review, we will read it on a future episode. You can also buy our merch. All my lore whores out there.
Yeah, lore whore army.
I still need to make the shirt that's the
path of devastation.
Yeah. You can get that at ghostfacerspodcaststore.com. Also, we've talked a lot about comic books in this episode. We have a whole podcast dedicated to them. And I think that if you like this show, you'll probably like comic books as well. So.
Yeah, it's the Dr. DC podcast. We talk about DC Comics. We answer listener questions. You don't need to know anything about them.
I want to do an 80s Teen Titans episode.
We haven't done one yet.
I mean to pitch you the Wolfman Perez era.
Absolutely,
into it. It's X-Men Methadone, and there's a character in it who I am now aspiring to be in real life. I'm gonna waste everybody's time for 1 minute at the end here. Wonder Girl in the Teen Titans has an affable boyfriend who just hangs out, has no superpowers, is just a chill dude.
Fucking Terry.
As a guy who is now a partner in the world of roller derby, he has become my new avatar. I hang out with cool people who are very big and strong and have cool nicknames and often costumes. And I'm just the guy off to the side giving finger guns and going, "You kids have fun."
Totally.
Incredible. Kyle, say goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you for having me. This is one of my favorite things I get to do, and I am looking forward to season 6.
Oh my God, we love you. Say goodbye, bitch.
Jerk.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.